Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Power of Words podcast. And I have today with me the beautiful Leah Lamarr, and we've seen each other over the last 2 years very briefly on two very amazing occasions, I want to say. But I'm really happy to have you here in the studio with me. I love your energy. You put out this you're just so radiant when you walk into the room, and when you get on stage, oh my goodness, I can't wait to hear what's coming out of your mouth. So I'm happy to have you here in the studio. You have had welcome.
Thank you.
First of all.
And thank you. And everything you've said about me, I could say about you tenfold. Just to one up you. No, I saw you from afar the first time we met, and the second time we connected. And I was so grateful to connect with you because your energy is completely magnetic, and you're just very special, and that's very clear. So I'm just honored to be connecting with you.
Thank you. You're so sweet. When I saw you on stage this time at the Female Empowerment Summit, I had to wait. As soon as you got off stage, I got you and said, I'm going to have you on a podcast. Not only because of the energy you have when you're on stage doing what you do, but I kind of sense a beautiful person inside there, and I'm happy to sit here with you and discover that. Now, you have had a multifaceted career, and I think you kind of had a good spike over COVID, might have been, with Clubhouse. That seemed like a very exciting time in your life, but also you've done stand-up comedy, you've been in TV shows. Tell us about you. Tell us what you love most of those three, or what is that specific journey been like without going back just yet?
Yeah. So what's crazy is that all of them feed my soul in a different way. And the way in which it is the thing that feels best for me is when I'm giving back. So the thing about TV film is that you really don't know how it's impacting people until someone messages you.
Yes.
Because you don't get real-time feedback. But when I was on Clubhouse, when I'm doing stand-up, you feel the energy immediately because it's live and it's raw and it's real. And so the thing about Clubhouse that was so magical was that it was anyone from around the world coming into my Clubhouse rooms, because I built a comedy club on there, and I would have thousands of people from around the world in the shows every single day. And we'd be running them basically 24 hours a day. I mean, it was crazy. And so I was growing a lot as a comedian, and I was able to bring joy to people during a really dark time. And it was a lot of organizations. So I met comics from around the world and brought them into the club and gave them stage time. And everyone was getting paid because people were so grateful that we were doing comedy shows, because people couldn't do live shows at that time, that they would be tipping the comics. So everyone was making money, and everyone was getting to practice their craft and connect with audiences and bring smiles to people's faces and joy. And to me, that was so impactful. And I think about that as a really special, unique time in history, because right now I don't think many people want to get onto an app that's just audio and talk to people endlessly without having either a live connection or seeing video format.
Yeah.
Or whatever it may be. I think not that that's dead, but that there was a very special time and place where it could thrive, truly. So that medium was wonderful. And of course, it's not lost on me that it was a devastating time for a lot of people, but somehow my career was popping off. And I think about that a lot, and it makes me feel really awful. But I like to think that I was at least giving back. I mean, I held a lot of fundraisers on that app too. We had a friend on the app who passed from COVID. But before he passed, when he was in the hospital, we did a huge fundraiser for his family. And the fundraiser itself raised over $100,000. And I personally was able to help fundraise around $40,000 for him through a comedy and music fundraiser. But that was through the kindness of the hearts of the people on the app who had connected with us along the way. You know, it felt like the Wizard of Oz. You're just collecting all of these nice people throughout the way and on your journey. And there were just so many special moments on that app. But then the world opened up. We started doing social distance shows. We got back to the power of live comedy, which, to be fair, there's nothing like it. It is a little addicting. as someone who seeks constant validation and attention, it is like a crack addiction for me, right? I'm telling you a joke and you're laughing. I have an entire room of people looking at me and laughing. I mean, bless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's your drug.
It is my drug of choice. Absolutely. Yes. And yeah, I mean, cocaine has nothing on a room of laughter.
Absolutely. And it is the best medicine, by the way. So what you're giving people as well is that medicine that everybody needs. I mean, they have gatherings in parks where you just go and laugh. So you see how much people need that. And we don't do that a lot. And I don't have a funny bone in my body. I mean,
That's not true. Everyone does. I promise you.
I don't think so. Anyway.
You made me laugh earlier, so I disagree.
Now you've got me on a mission to find that.
It's there.
So what got you? When did you realize you had this funny streak or you could make people laugh? Is this something you discovered as a child? Is it something you developed over time?
So it's interesting because I want to go into this honestly with you.
Yes.
And I have since realized that I need to navigate the feelings of other people sensitively when I talk about this. But it is also my story and it is important to share it. So I think that I came from a home where everyone did the best they could with the tools that they had at the time. And I love my family very much. We don't see eye to eye on everything.
Most families
don't. And, tensions with my sister have been very high. I have been trying to connect with her recently, but we haven't really spoken in years. And there was a lot of yelling in my childhood home. And so as someone who kind of felt the need as a child to make everything okay for everyone, that transforms. So that starts with being really quiet and being very polite and not doing anything to rock the boat because you don't know what will set off the yelling. And then that turns to I'm the clown. How do I make this fun and light and everyone can, is there a joke here? Like, so I was like the very quiet, overachieving people pleaser doormat. And then that moved into how do I transform this energy? Because once I realized that tactic didn't work of being silent, that didn't work. Then maybe if I'm happy-go-lucky and we make this fun time, will that change the energy? The answer is no. Nothing can change other people. Other people need to change themselves if they want to change.
In fact, it probably aggravates them a little bit.
Absolutely. Is there a long list of people that despise me for this? Probably. I mean, I don't know, but that's not my problem.
Yeah, I don't think people could despise you, but
you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But then when I went to college and was out on my own, I think that's really when I really stepped into my own power. Because I didn't have anyone looking over my shoulder telling me I was good or bad. And I was able to finally start to find myself. And I think through that, I started to realize I was funny. But was it a coping mechanism turned into a power? Or was it a power that just grew? And I think maybe it's a little bit of both. A little column A, a little column B. And now I made a career out of it. So...
That's amazing. In the face of adversity, right? Mm-hmm. Something beautiful comes from it. But we have to realize, and if you hadn't been through what you'd been through, you wouldn't be doing what I'm assuming you love today in so many ways.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I started out as a dramatic actor, and I was a classically trained theater actor. Meisner technique, Alexander technique. I mean, just everything that you could do to be on Broadway. I loved musical theater. I loved plays. I knew that's kind of what I wanted to do. I have 8 left feet. So dance is just off the table. You know what I mean? There are some people that are triple threats. I like to consider myself a triple threat too. I can act, I can sing, and I can be annoying. So it's like I have all the bases covered, And so the only thing I can't do is dance. So musical theater kind of fell to the wayside. And that was devastating for me. And a friend was like, well, why don't you just do straight theater? You can just do plays. And I was like, okay, great. And even in my 4th year of college, I was taking the train up to New York City because I was in a little off-Broadway show. And I remember my theater teachers being furious at this because they're like, you're not done with your training. You can't be doing this. And I was like, oh man, the adults have so much resentment about where they are in their own lives that they're putting that onto me, telling me I can't do something that I'm actually doing, I'm already doing. And I remember once standing up for myself and sending back an email that I almost couldn't. I don't even know where that courage came from, because at that time I wasn't confronting anyone, but I think I had just snapped. And I sent an email that was like, I'm already doing this. It's happening. The train has left the station. So either you're on my team or you're not on my team. And I missed a few classes, but I ended up getting an A anyway. So but
overachiever.
Yes. But in that process, I also found TV film, because I had a friend who saw me in the play and was like, I think you'd be really good in this movie I'm doing. And then I started to realize how much I loved the medium of film. And I had a film professor, Kevin Everson, who's just one of the greats. He still shoots black and white 16 millimeter film and goes to all the festivals with his films, and he's a genius. But he taught me an appreciation for film. And the way in which a story can be told. And so I started to see the love of storytelling being told in a different medium, and I got really attached to it. And at this point, I'm still mostly doing drama. I leave college, I go to New York City, and you know what? I don't even remember the question, and I think that I've just gone on a tangent.
Okay, that's what we're here to just talk about. But talk about
I'm like,
you.
I'm like, did you ask for my life story, or am I just giving it to you? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Give me your life story, darling.
I wanted to make sure the life story was consensual. Okay, so I go back to New York City, and at this point, I'm very close to home still, because I'm from New York, and my parents are telling me, you need to get a job, and I'm living with them, and so I'm back in their house again. So I get a job. I hate it. I'm basically making as much money as I'm spending, because I've got all these student loans. And I mean, it's a nightmare. I'm not doing what I want. I'm not fulfilling my own prophecy, my own desires, my own proclivities. And so I had a job, which I still have some professional connections from this day, because I was working at a production company, but I was a secretary. I was at the front desk reception, checking people in, getting people coffees, which totally fine, just not my bag.
Doesn't make you happy. That's not your happy place.
No, but I understand that is fulfilling for some people. It just doesn't work for me, and that's when I started to really realize, people are like, oh, she's funny, let's come hang out at Leah's desk, she's funny, we enjoy her company. And I was like, and my boyfriend at the time was like, you should be doing stand-up. And I was like, no, that's crazy, I'm a dramatic actress, I'm gonna be a young ingenue. I moved to LA because I booked a film, and I remember thinking, this is going to be so easy. Oh, I know how we laughed. Oh, yeah. And I remember meeting with a casting director here. We talked for about an hour. At the end of the hour, she said to me, Leah, I just want to let you know, you're more funny, less pretty.
You're less pretty?
And I was like, oh my God, you think I'm funny? And she was like, yeah, you should be doing stand-up. I knew what she meant, because she has all these models coming in. And I'm not saying I'm not beautiful.
Acting is, but I just want to interrupt you there. Acting isn't about pretty, it's about a skill, right?
Yeah, so they say.
Okay.
But I understood what she meant. And again, this could have been someone else projecting onto me whatever she wanted, or it could have been someone trying to nudge me in a different direction.
Yeah.
Or just redirecting the energy that she saw that might be an easier route for me. And I started stand up, and I was like, it makes sense. It fit like a glove. I have the energy of like a black cat. I like to kind of come and go as I please. I like to show up, do my thing. I'm not into like group projects anymore. It's like very much, okay, so you're telling me my spot's at 8:30. This is not improv. I don't need to wait for a team to practice or get here. I can just come by myself. I sink or float on my own glory and my own skill. And then I go home when I want to. And I was like, I kind of love this. and
like
I'm
independence of it.
Yes. And I'm basically a vampire. Like, I exist at night. So I'm almost nocturnal, which I know sounds crazy, but I even thought about this the other day. I was like, there are only two things I could have done in this lifetime. It was like be a bartender or be a comic. Wow. I'm a night owl. I've always been a night owl, even since I was a young kid. And so for me, also because I'm like allergic to the sun, you've never met a paler person in your life. In your life, I'm allergic to the moonlight. It's crazy. Like anytime the sun is, I'm getting burnt by this light right now. So for me, comedy suddenly became just like this easy way to share my skill set and get to do the thing I love, which is perform.
And you get the energy from the audience.
I didn't realize
That's
live was
fulfilling.
really an option.
Yeah.
And so then I moved into stand up and things started moving quickly for me. I was getting jobs left and right from it because people were like, oh, I know this girl. She's funny. Put her. But it would translate into TV or film, like, oh, she's funny. You should use her in your movie. Oh, she's funny. You should put her in a TV show. Left, right, just getting these little gigs here and there, which was great. And then I was pretty bad until about 4 years in, and no one's good for the first 5 years. It's just kind of, they say like you don't know your real voice in stand up until you hit 10 years is what they say.
Wow.
It's interesting.
That's a lifetime
Yes.
career.
Yeah. But I mean, they say 10,000 hours, so it's really pounding the pavement. And every single night I was out doing multiple mics a night, trying to get better. But the thing about mics is that you're getting like 3 to 5 minutes in front of a room of other comics who just want to go up and do their time. So no one's really listening. It's hard to get laughs, but that's why you record every single set. I have every single set I've ever done recorded in my phone. Every single set. And you listen back, and anytime you actually got a laugh from people who are A, not paying attention, and B, don't want to listen to you, it's a good joke.
Okay.
Yes. So you compile all of those, and then you somehow make a set list, and you somehow get booked on shows, and then you keep just going from new joke, working on a joke, throwing this out, including this, like finding something on the stage. Then suddenly you start involving crowd work into your life. Then you start, and it's all these different skill sets just come to you as you progress as a comic. And it's interesting because I feel like I'm really only now coming into my own as a comic, where I feel very confident on almost any stage. Any stage, actually. I don't know why I said almost any stage I get on, I feel confident. If it's a room of 3 people, I'm going to crush. If it's a room of 1,000 people, I'm going to crush. Yes, yeah. It doesn't matter who's there. I know how to talk to whatever room I'm in, unless it's a room of children, in which case don't hire me. I turned off my Amber Alerts. I'm never around kids. I don't know how to talk to them. I'm so sorry. But like 21 up, we're good.
That has its time and place as well. So you will get there.
Yes. I'm sure one day when the kids come, I'll figure it out.
Learning skill.
Yeah.
Yes.
To be honest, my husband is the maternal one, so he'll be doing the talking to the children.
Yeah, but you'll give them the laugh. Think about that. Yeah. Very interesting. So many things you said that I think, really great lessons for the young generation. I see a lot of struggle right now between the ages of, I thought it was 19, but when I start speaking in schools, I realize even younger. But, when kids are getting ready to go to college between the ages of 17, when they're preparing for that, and then they actually get into college, and then they are in college, and they're done with college, so going up to the 23, 24 to 27, and even kids at the age of 32, youth at the age of 32, don't know what they're looking for. And like you went through that, right? You tried this, you tried the other, you couldn't find what actually made you click.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody that's just doing, and majority of young people aren't doing what they love. They're just doing what they need to do. We as parents put the pressure on them to get out and get a job. We've educated you, now get out and get the job. Get out and get the job. Haven't you heard that so many times? But you can just get the job, or you can get the job you love.
The job you love could take some time.
How do you speed that up a little bit? I thought internships, let them try different things, put them in different scenarios, get out there. But a lot of, I don't know whether COVID did this, but a lot of kids aren't even motivated, getting that motivation into them. There are some that just have it and run like a freight train. But most are either nervous, don't feel good enough. I don't know if the isolation made you lose the confidence you could have had or might have had. There's some energy that's lost here in, I don't know where.
They're too busy vaping and being
God,
addicted
you
to
just said that.
TikTok.
I wasn't even, not even TED Talks, to gaming, to
Their phones.
any kind of, to Instagram. I wish they were addicted to TED Talks.
I have to be honest with you. Now that you've brought this up and we're here,
Yeah.
cell phone addiction is real.
Yes.
And I think in 20, 30 years from now, even less than that, because I'm already getting sponsored ads on Instagram being like, are you addicted to your cell phone? I'm like, oh God, who can I sue? But I think we'll see phone addiction as bad as smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
It is a real addiction. And I think because I was already addicted to my phone, Clubhouse was easy for me because somehow it connected my value as an entertainer with my addiction, and it was the perfect storm. I got super burnt out after that, by the way. But
you made that a career.
But I made it into a career. And the crazy thing, well, yeah, it's interesting because I got so good at hosting that I started hosting for E! And America's Funniest Home Videos. And I just did a show with Tubi last year with Angela Johnson. But it's like people started bringing me on because they saw this quality in me, which is great. But that's an aside. That was just a little humble brag. But let's go back to the cell phone addiction. So the cell phone addiction is really real. And I even realized how bad it was for me. I love film. I love television, narrative TV. I love it. I couldn't even get through a movie without picking up my phone. And I was like, wait a second. This is not good. If this is happening to me, what's happening to the youth who grew up looking at tablets and phones and being iPad babies? And I don't judge parents for that. I'm not a parent. I don't know how hard it is. And if it's easier I can understand that being something that makes life easier. But I found a 12-step program for phone addiction. I wish I was joking. It's called ITAA, Internet and Technology Addicts Anonymous. And
we need to put this in link. ITAA.
Yeah. And the craziest thing about these meetings is that they're on Zoom.
Is it done by Eleanor by any chance?
No.
Oh, it's just a
completely different 12-step program. But like having an ITAA meeting, an internet addiction meeting on Zoom is like having an AA meeting in a bar. Like it is, they're like, please don't look at other apps. I'm like, I'm on my phone though. It's crazy.
But you're doing this on Zoom.
Yeah.
Which is technology again.
Exactly. So. It's crazy. I'm like, should we just be doing this on Instagram Live? Like, what are we doing? It is wild, but it's truly very helpful. And it helps give me my time back, which sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But it's legitimate. You know, I don't drink. I don't smoke. I used to.
And you're still funny.
Didn't have a problem. Can you believe? No, I can't imagine drinking or smoking and going on stage. It actually gives me anxiety, the idea of it. Because I am 100% me all the time. I have no reservations, which might honestly hold me back in my life from I'm like a crazy person.
I'm the complete opposite.
I'm a tornado. You know, I have no filter. I say whatever I want whenever I want to, which has its pluses and minuses. But I mean, you know, sometimes I wish I could be more reserved. I don't have it anymore. I just am who I am.
Did you turn like that, or because you weren't like that as a child?
No, I was not like that as a child.
I was very reserved as a child. I had no confidence. I had no self-confidence. I would never speak up or speak out.
Yeah,
if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be on a mic talking to someone, not in a million years. I'd be standing up in a class and teaching a course. Never. I'd never. So it changes. So that changed for you.
Yeah. Once I broke in my head that I was going to be the dramatic lead of some sort of trilogy, which is also fine. That's a beautiful dream to have. However, that wasn't my lot in life, right? Once I broke into stand-up and realized, because in my head I was thinking, Disney will never want to work with me if they hear me telling a story about sex. What if I say the word fuck? Oh my God, will I ever get a job again? Will commercials want to hire me? Like, that was how I thought. And I think that was really holding me back from moving forward in my life. And I'm like, no, because look at all these comedians who say whatever they want and their careers flourish because of it. And I think stand-up really helped me find my voice, the voice that I had hidden in my childhood, of saying what I wanted, who I wanted to be, because I wasn't allowed to do that. I think I've always been an artist, but it was suppressed. No, can't be an artist, have a job. Can't be an artist, focus on math and science. Can't be an art, right? So no. And then you have to be the person to say yes to you. Going back to your question of what advice would you give, the advice that I would give First of all, is don't take advice from anyone.
Okay.
You know, no, if I had taken
But
advice,
I'm giving it to you anyway.
I'm giving it to you, but so like take it with a grain of salt. Basically, take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Because for me, if I had taken to heart everything I heard from people I respected or were further ahead in their careers than me, I'd be nowhere. Everyone had a different opinion of how I should be. And the only person I need to listen to is me.
Yeah. Because there is no one else, like we say, like you. Exactly like you.
And the other thing too is at the time I started comedy, there weren't as many female comics. It's a very male dominated industry.
Absolutely.
And a lot of men had things to say about how I should be on stage. You should dress up. You should dress down. You should wear makeup. You shouldn't wear makeup. You shouldn't talk about sex. You should work. I mean, it would just be, everyone had a different idea of who I should be to be successful. And that was extremely unhelpful. You know, I met Dane Cook on Clubhouse. And Dane took me out on the road, and I got to tour with Dane.
Wow.
Which was he's the best. He's such a cool, great, awesome, funny guy, generous. I mean, I could say a million nice things about Dane. But he was like one of those guys that just was like, go do your thing. And to me, that was the most helpful. It's for someone to just be like, I trust you and I believe you. I believe in you. Just go do your thing. Do you. And I thought that was so cool because I had a lot of these other people telling me who I should be, what I should do. And it was ultimately extremely unhelpful. So trusting my gut and my intuition took years. Following my heart took years. I think separating what I wanted versus what my parents wanted, two different things. It was impossible for me to disconnect for a really, really, really long time. And I had to cut the cord. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I still had their voice in the back of my head because you have it implanted there for 20 years or however many years you have. It doesn't just disappear. But I wish that when I was younger, I had like let go of the tethers earlier. But it's really hard to when you live under someone else's roof and they're feeding you and they're clothing you and they're taking care of you. It's hard. It's hard. But I will say I'm so grateful that my family and I have a better relationship now. And when I walk into their house, they have photos of me on stage. You know, so I know.
So they're
I know
proud
they're
of
proud.
you.
Yes,
they're proud
proud
of you. Is it the survival mode when you move away from home? Is that what makes you really, you know, have to do something and then have to find the right thing to do to make you happy? Is that cutting of the cord? Whereas when you're in a different city, you can't go back home and do your laundry at the end of the day, or you can't go back home on the weekend if you're not feeling good, or it's that having to survive.
Survival instinct, fear, shame, guilt, compare and despair. Everyone I know from high school had a job and a 401k and a family and bought a house. I'm renting a 2-bed, 1-bath in Silver Lake off the highway, and I'm a dog walker, I'm a server, I'm a cocktail waitress.
To survive.
And it took me a while to be okay with possibly not being okay and having no survival net. And, you know, my family never giving me money. So everything that I had to do was built on whether or not I could make it happen. And it does teach you to be independent and scrappy, but I'm basically like a rescue dog. I when I met my husband, you know, I'm like, you never know when I might bite for no reason. I'm so sorry. I don't know what triggers me. We're going to figure it out. We don't know what happened to me in my childhood, but we're going to figure it out. But my husband's a different story, but it's interesting because a lot of artists have to have a lot of these survival jobs. I mean, I was working as a host at a brunch restaurant and I was making, I think, $8 an hour plus tips.
Wow.
I mean, barely enough to survive. I was on unemployment. I was on food stamps.
Wow.
And that was just...
How old were you?
8 or 9 years ago. I mean, all the cells in your body change every 7 years. Mm-hmm. And life is a little different now. But I was like a tree frog, hopping tree to tree, just going from one thing to the other, and scarcity mentality, survival mode, just shrouded in fear. And like I was the Craigslist roommate.
Wow.
Like I'm the nut job, which is probably no surprise.
The
But
Craigslist roommate. That's a new one.
yeah. And only 4 years ago did I ever sign my first lease,
Wow.
which is crazy. I was so scared. No one explained to me how to get a car. No one explained to me how to check your credit score so that you could rent an apartment yourself. Yeah. No one explained any of these things to me. And so becoming an adult, taking accountability of my own life, learning how to survive, all of these things, I mean, I don't know how to speed that process up. I just knew it took me a minute. It took me a while. But the thing was that every time I made a change was terrifying. Terrifying. And then the second I made it, huge relief. And if that's one piece of advice I could pass on, is that they always say, leap and the net will appear. And it is true. I mean, the amount of relief you get after just making the decision to change something in your life is immense.
Absolutely. You know, I see that, especially when you're young. I think wanting to do something different, you might fall on your face, but then you pick yourself up because all of us are resilient in so many ways. Do you think focusing on what you know you're good at and it's not going to happen right away rather than jumping from one thing to the next and to the other? And a lot of people do that. A lot of entrepreneurs tend to do that. You know what you're really good at.
Yeah.
But to survive, you go, you know, left and right, and you're always looking for other doors that are open. I really say if you're knocking at a door and it isn't opening, then, you know, or you're right in front of a fence and you can't get over it, then take a stool. And instead of taking a stool and then a ladder, just look for what's around you. What's your way? What's your way now that you've realized that you've done so many things and you've found your passion? When you hit that wall, what do you do?
Okay, first of all, I love that you said you get a stool or a ladder because this is like a plot twist. I am an escape room enthusiast, which probably goes back to my childhood, just like love being alone in my room. But and proving how smart I am so that no one yells at me. No, I love them. 60 minutes, you're in a room of puzzles, figure it out.
Yeah. My daughter loves that.
I played over 330 rooms.
Wow.
In the last like 2.5 years. Don't do the math on that. But I'll play them alone when I go to different cities, when I'm on tour. Like it's just really something I love. But the biggest takeaway from an escape room is something you just said. If you think you have the right answer and it's not opening the lock, it's because it's not the right way to do it. It's not the right answer. So you have to figure out another way to open it. So that was such a big lesson for me in life because I thought to myself, oh, I thought I had it right, but this isn't correct. So what's another way to solve this problem? And so now in my professional life, when I hit a wall or a problem, I used to keep running into the wall. Maybe force. Maybe this time.
Take the ladder. Get over the wall.
And they say the cycle of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah.
But they also say that doing the same thing over and over is hope. So, you know, I get a little.
After I've lived as long as I've lived, I don't know about that.
No. I've had too many concussions. It's not true. So what I've realized is my ladder would be like, okay, well, I don't know what my income is going to be this month. And I don't have enough shows that I think will cover my rent, my bills, and the expenses that I like to pay to live the life I like to lead. So what else am I going to do for money this month? And I know that this is going to sound absolutely insane. However, my truth, and actually going back to what you said about expediting the process, is that in 12-step, I think everyone should be at some sort of emotional intelligence program because it does help you expedite the process. A big part that I've taken away from that is that everything will work out. Everything always works out as it's meant to. And God or your higher power or the universe, whatever you want to call it, has a plan for you.
You're exactly where you're meant to be at any given moment in time.
Anything that's meant for you will not pass you by. The people, places, and things in your life that are supposed to be there at that time will be there for you. And I wholeheartedly believe that now. So for me, when I'm not sure what's going to happen, I don't stress out anymore. I just I can't afford to have anxiety and stress like that. I just think, okay, this is the problem. By this date, maybe I need to move or I need to figure it out. I'll figure it out. And it'll just come to me, and it will be an easy, it will be easier than I think it's going to be. Now, everything doesn't have to be hard. I used to think everything had to be so hard.
Yeah.
And so I'm just now at this point where I'm like, okay, well, I'll just apply for a bunch of castings, or I'll reach out to 5 people I know that might have worked for me, and whatever it is. And sometimes you need to check your ego at the door.
Yeah.
Especially
Absolutely.
when I was younger in my career, my ego, I mean, the bar was on the floor. You know, I'd be like, okay, you want me to wear all black with a black tie, put my hair back, look like a little boy while I'm serving all
Lisa. Yeah.
Great, I'll do it. $20 an hour? Cool. Whatever, right? Like, I'm doing what I have to do to survive and make ends meet so that I can, at the end of the day, go to an open mic and get better at the thing I like to do. And that's it. And I think also you need to be willing to make sacrifices. I'm not saying live in your car and have a 24-hour gym membership so you can shower. Like, that's not that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, like, be willing to do something that you may not think is glamorous or fun or cool or something that you could brag about to your friends to get where you want to get in life. And I did that for years and years and years. And, you know, now I'm so grateful that that's not where I'm at. I'm grateful that I get to my career affords me the lifestyle that I want. You know, they say, like, find what you love and let it kill you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because
I love that. Find what you love and let it kill you.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I'm like, I almost feel
because you can still do it over and over and over again because you love it. And that's the problem with a lot of what people do. They don't actually love what they do.
But I think too, if we like rephrased it, find what you love and do it till you die.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people see a job as something you finish at 65, then you retire, then you're just making ends meet to get your Social Security and then not have to work so you can retire. I don't want to retire from what I do. I found something that I want to do forever. Until I die.
Yeah.
And to me, that's so cool. And I feel so lucky that it happens to pay my bills and I get to do the thing I like.
And you found it at the age you found it at.
Yeah.
You know, something we say, well, I say what I'm doing now, everyone looks at me and says, Deb, do you really want to be working the way you do and traveling as much as you do? And I do work really long hours, but I said I found what I want to leave behind. This is going to be my life's legacy. And you found your path, right? You found what makes you happy. You found your happy place in your career. And we believe through what we teach in emotional intelligence, and especially through my career and why I started doing what I do, I like to say that your talent is not your path. Your talent is not your purpose in life. Your talent is your path to finding your purpose. And my talent and what I love doing and what I'm so passionate or was so passionate about was creating and developing and research and development in fashion. And, being able to show the product, I did the development of the product, and the process was what made me really happy. Where that took me in life to be able to do what really brings me joy, and my joy comes from others. So that's my purpose now. It's the joy that I was getting from product and having a great business and, all of the glamour what it seemed like glamour. People don't really see what goes on behind the fashion industry. They don't see me going through, the train station in Italy with 4 suitcases waiting for somebody to help me to put it on the train, and the long hours and, get off the plane at 11:30 at night and be at the factory at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, all of those things. So what do you think is your purpose? You found your passion. What do you think is your purpose?
So it's interesting that you bring this up. And I used to think about this a lot because when you're a comic and you're getting the energy from the room, you know it's because you're giving them something to respond to. But you want to think in a more bigger picture. What am I doing for people in a whole? And I did go on a very big mental health journey, and I talked a lot about mental health on Clubhouse. And for me, I think like delivering joy and bringing people happiness in that way, even if it's for a moment, is really important. But I think my bigger goal in life and my purpose is helping people to feel. I think a lot of people are stuck in their emotions and don't know how to express them. And I have a lot of people come up to me after shows and being like, oh my God, I can't believe like you said that to that couple, or, you know, that's so crazy that you went through that thing. I also went through something like that, and I've never told anyone. And it's interesting because the second that you're open and honest and vulnerable, which I am on stage, I have no filter, right? I say everything that's happened in my life. I don't care. Other people can relate to what you've said.
Yes.
And it helps them open up because it makes them feel less alone. And I found that in Al-Anon, in the rooms, when someone shares, you always think you're so alone and you're the only person, I'm the only person who's ever gone through a breakup. No one else could possibly understand what I'm going through, right? But it's, you know, or these like very niche things that you think are niche about this specific problem. And it's never about the problem.
Yeah.
It always goes back to a core wound of not feeling like you're enough, of not feeling seen, of not feeling safe, of not feeling heard, of not getting the things you need, any sort of like survival things, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, whatever it is. It all goes back to these same core wounds. And so for me, opening up to people and in public, on a big stage, gives other people permission to do that in their lives.
To feel and bring to the
whatever that
forefront what
is.
they're feeling.
Yes. Whether it's joy, whether it's having an uncomfortable conversation based off of what they heard me say with someone, whatever it is, I just want to give people permission to feel and express themselves. And if they see in me a reflection of themselves and it helps them do that, amazing.
Yeah. Makes them happy and you leave happy. You know, one question I always want to ask comedians is you're putting yourself out there, you're on stage, you constantly, when you're in groups and when you're in friend groups, or do people always expect you to be funny? Does that feel like a pressure? When you're on stage and you're really not feeling, you've got to do it, right? Because you've signed up for it and you're there. What are those moments like? Because there must be that pressure to deliver when you're not feeling it. How do you deal with that? How do you handle that? Because it's a job. And this is what we're trying to do, is to teach people to manage their emotional intelligence on a daily basis so that you can show up and be productive. I want to see what your thoughts are on that. If you're able to manage those emotions before you get up there on stage, have you ever had those moments where you really don't want to be there and you have to?
You mean, am I human? Yeah, I mean, everyone has a bad day at the office.
Yeah.
And so I have tools and tricks to help me get into my body and out of my head and place me in the present moment. Does it always work 100% of the time? No. And that's okay. Do I beat myself up about it sometimes? Sure. But for the most part, is it effective? Absolutely. So I do positive mantras. I do stretching. Sometimes I have to jump up and down. I do power poses. There are lots of different tools that I use to get into my head, to get out of my head and into my body.
Yeah.
And when I get on stage, I really need to ground myself. So if that means like looking at a specific audience member and having a crowd work moment with them to connect and get into it, that's what that means for me today. If that means I know in my body I just need one good laugh and I'm in, great. Tell a joke that I know is going to get a laugh up top and then keep it moving. Does that mean I always have a good set? No. Does that mean that it's the worst set of my life? Also no. Sometimes there are things that happen out of your control that you can't, let me rephrase. You never have control of anything.
Yeah.
So anything in life can go haywire at any moment for any reason at all. You know, I don't control if I get into an accident on the way here. I can't control whether or not I forget to lock my door and someone is it's like all of these things. I mean, yes, I have control over that, but you know what I'm saying? It's like there, for the most part, like in life, people are always like, well, you could just get hit by a bus tomorrow, so why does it matter, sort of thing. So for example, I was doing a show in Arizona. I was headlining the show, and 30 minutes go by. I'm having the best time I've ever had in comedy. Suddenly, the room vibe just shifts, and I have another half an hour to go. They had, originally the show was not sold out, and then night of the show sold out. So they were extremely understaffed. They only had one server and one security guard for a room of 300 people.
Distraction.
So people have been in the room for over an hour, haven't gotten their drinks, haven't gotten their food. The checks are about to be dropped soon, and they haven't even been served.
Wow.
So the air conditioning isn't working in Arizona in the middle of summer. That's 110 degree heat. You could fry an egg on the floor. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So people are getting overheating. People are hungry. People are thirsty. They have been trying to get the server's attention. No one knows what's going on. It's chaos. Suddenly, hecklers start talking from different areas of the room, and I can't. And normally, I'm able to just manage that quickly. But since the room is already in a state of anger and panic and anxiety, it's chaos. But it's crazy because the room just erupts into chaos. I can't do anything to win the room back. So for the next 25 minutes, I sweat through my shirt, I smile, and I just tell jokes just to silence and anger and people talking at me, and there's nothing I can do. That was like 4 years ago now. I think if it happened to me now, I might be able to manage it better because I would probably stop the show.
Get off the stage and go in the audience and cheer them up there.
Well, but it's also like, I would actually be like, what's going on back there? Okay. And then I would talk to the venue because there are some things where the show does need to actually hit pause.
Yeah.
You know, like there are a lot of times where like security needs to take people out of the room for the show to keep going on. And that's just matter of the fact. But that was my first time. It was my first weekend headlining. I didn't know any better. And it was just such a horrific experience. I thought I should quit. I literally went
having to do this, not understanding that this is one-off and
I mean, I just bombed my face off, and it is so humiliating. And it is when you think you're a professional and you can't make it work. And I cried in between, and I had another show to do right after that. I was crying in the green room. I called all my guy friends, my comics, being like, I should quit. They're like, oh, you bombed? Welcome to be a comedian. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. You know? And it was interesting.
It's the real world.
It's the real world. You just never know when something's going to go wrong. Even if you prep, even if you do a million different things. But I realized the show must go on. And I literally wanted to quit comedy after that because it hurt so bad for everything to go so poorly and to think that I'm really bad at my job in front of a group of a huge audience. You know, I thought I was going to get a phone call from Mr. Hollywood and he was going to say, you're never going to work again in this town. You know, that's really what I thought was going to happen. And I realized, okay, you need to change your attitude right now because you have to do another show and you're not quitting. This is part of the job. Not everyone has a good day at the office. You had a bad day at the office. The next show is going to be good. Yeah. And you're going to put your big girl pants on right now. And it's not really even a fake it till you make it sort of attitude. I think it's more of a just, I truly believe everything will be fine for this next show because I want to succeed.
And that's a learning curve.
It's a learning curve.
Something to learn from that for the next time.
Right. And I'm like, I am good at my job.
Yeah.
A lot of these factors were out of my control.
Yeah.
Everything will be okay. And if it's not, you're being paid to be here, so just do it, you know? And the next show was fine. Did I have a little fear in the back of my head? Oh no, is everything going to go poorly? Oh no, is this? And when I saw the light go off and I knew I had 5 minutes left, I was like, I did it. I did it. I knew it would be okay. And for me to pull myself out of such a dark hole with such little, I had 20 minutes to pull it together. I mean, I was sobbing on the floor. I didn't even go to the meet and greet because I was too embarrassed. Sobbing on the floor, too embarrassed to look people in the face. Ended up doing the next show and everything was totally fine. And I really pulled myself together then. And I think it's so important to know that you can do that. If that had happened to me 10 years ago, forget it.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have been able to. The show wouldn't have gone on.
Maturity.
And learning. and understanding that I want to succeed. I used to have a fear of failure and a fear of success. And I think now I know that I'm good at this. I know that it's my life purpose. I know that you don't always have a good day at the office. You bomb, you bomb. Doesn't. Also, the funniest people on planet Earth are not for everyone.
Yeah.
There are some people that don't like Dave Chappelle. And I'm just like, okay, in my, okay. And so for me, it's like, okay, now I just put one foot in front of the other, knowing that I can't trust that every day is going to be the best day of my life, that every day at the office is going to be the best day of my life. May have a bad show, may have a great show. Maybe I think I'll never have a good show again because the show was so good. I mean, the amount of fears that you can have over something is just out of this world.
Yeah.
But I no longer have the fear of success. And you have to fail to be successful.
Absolutely.
Because
it's
if
growth.
I didn't pick myself back up and I didn't get myself into the headspace to be ready to perform, then I would have failed.
Yeah.
Majorly. But failing is only failure if you don't pick yourself back up.
Yeah. Failure is growth.
Yeah.
Failure teaches you to grow.
Yeah.
I can go on, and we have so many. I mean, there are so many. I have 18 questions left to ask you, and
You're like,
I have
wouldn't
just
shut up.
enjoyed. No, I've just enjoyed having a conversation with you. I'd love to have you back. I'd love to talk about. I'd love to get you involved with what we do in emotional intelligence, because I know you see it, you live it, and you breathe it, and that's what we need is more voices like yours, and you inspire the young generation. So even though you don't think that you can deal with kids, I think you'll do incredibly well with kids.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for giving us the time.
Oh my gosh.
And
thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you all.